It is my father teaching. He said, Islam must dominate, my son. As we read from hadith, hadith is what Muhammad said. That the day of Islam, this is by Bukhari or Muslim, for those who are taking notes, the day of Islam will not come about until the Muslim fight the enemy. Even the rocks and the trees will cry out, Abdullah, Muslim, behind me, infidel, come behead him. This is what I was fed on. You see, the other day I was watching this movie, this program on National Geographic, and they showed this Africana tribe. This man took the scorpion and he started squeezing the poison out of the tail of the scorpion. And then he took the snake and he squeezed the fang out, and it squirted all that poison. And the second frame was this mother birthing this little child. And this child, just freshly out of his mother womb, only his father to mix the poison and put one drop on his tongue. And as he did this, and I'm thinking, what kind of father or a mother will allow this to happen to their child? The next picture shows you about 7, 8 kids running into the forest with their arrow and bow, and they're hunting for lunch and dinner. And that day, big snake bit that child right there in his ankle. Guess what happened to the child? Absolutely nothing. He was so immune to the poison that he didn't know what happened. The snake that day became lunch. It became snake kebab. You see, this is happening in that side of the world. It was the teaching that we've been brought up from our childhood that America and Israel must be destroyed. America is, with the power of the Jew, the Christian and Jew are trying to destroy our world. This is what we were taught. At 6 years old, I had a dream. In my dream, it was the best dream I had when I was a child. I saw myself dressed in white shorts. I sat on a white horse. In my right arm, there was a double-edged sword. In my left arm, there were double-edged sword. That day, I sat on that white horse, and the day of Islam came about, and the Christian and Jews stood in formation. And as they stood in formation, I took off forward with my sword in my arm. And when the elite started coming at me, only to take their head off, and their head were falling at the feet of Allah. That day, I moved into the enemy line. And as I moved into the enemy's line, the Muslim military moved in. And that day, I died. And I rose before the face of Allah. And Allah was laughing hilariously. And He said, only my crazy Kamal can do such a thing. What is your children dreaming today? When did you hear their dream last time? 6 years old. You see, in America, there's several groups. There's CARE, which is, it's a Council of American, group, and they really don't care. They're a moderate Muslim, thing. And then you have the Muslim Brotherhood, and then you have the National American Muslim Students, which is where they're recruiting a lot of students to go to war from our universities. When I was 7 years old, this is where I was recruited. I was recruited in my mosque neighborhood. I was 7 years old. The Muslim Brotherhood recruited me to go to their group, and they said, you want power? Islam is power. So I started studying Islam at length, between home and between these people. Now I have the Quran in my hand, and I have the power of Allah. 3 months later, the whole group went and joined the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. As a child, I never had a toy. I never had anything. All I knew that life is to live and to die for the sake of Allah. That's what I learned. When we went to the PLO camp, that day I saw the biggest playground ever in front of me. They had jungle gym, they have flat walls, they have ropes, they have mud holes you can dig and jump and play. As a child, I was excited. And the warriors came at me, and some of those warriors had big beard like this. And you can smell those warriors 3 miles away as warriors. And with that, this guy, he came, he's the leader, and he said, child, do you want to be a warrior? I said, I am a warrior. I am a warrior. He said, you can't be a warrior unless you know how to use a weapon. That day, he handed me an AK-47. And that day, I knelt on the ground, and I put the AK-47 in my arm, and he grabbed my arm, and I shot 30 bullets in the air. That day, I was transformed. That day, that air that came, the gunpowder that came from the machine gun, it was the air that I needed to breathe. It was my friend. Now I possess both powers, knowledge of Islam and my machine gun. Who gonna stop me? At 7 years old, I went on my first mission, Pastor. We went to the Syrian heights, the Golan Heights, and we ascended from the mountains, and there was tunnels dug underground for miles and miles and miles, and they went inside Israel. On my back, at 7 years old, I had a duffel bag. It had magazines, AK-47s loaded with bullets, hand grenades, TNT blocks with fuses, 9mm and 7mm handgun. This is what I had in my little bag. And we rendezvous with the shepherds over there. These shepherds took those bags and strapped them on the belly of the sheep, and they took them inside Israel to commit missions against innocent Jews that they never fought, and they never knew what fight is all about. This is what I had done when I was 7 years old. When I came home, my brothers, my sisters, and the neighborhood, my mother stood in the door, and all my sister and all the women went, shout of victory. Shout to the heavens of joy. Hail Kamal, the hero of Islam. My brothers were shooting their guns, and everybody was dancing. My dad got his shield and his sword, and he was dancing. I thought to myself, I'm James Bond. I'm gonna change the world of Islam. We're gonna conquer Jerusalem, and we're gonna bring the age of Islam. The age of Islam. You see, today, you're fighting the age of Islam. You are not fighting the 21st century people. You're fighting the middle-aged people. When you're fighting these people are bringing something ancient to say, we want back what belonged to us. You see, in Europe, these people were marching on a street, in France, in Germany, in Belgium, in Denmark, and they were saying, arm in arm, saying, this is our land, this is our land, this is our land, this is our land. And one reporter said to them, what do you mean this is your land? Is it your land because you are a citizen of this land? They said, no, our ancestor never finished the conquest. America, America, arise, wake up, open your eyes. Today, the message been served in this house. These people are not afraid to say who they are. Your grandmothers and your grandfather and your mother and father made a beautiful home for you and gave you beautiful land. And today you have security. But who's gonna give those children security when they grow up? Who's gonna stand for them and say, today I stand on the wall of this country? Well, I am the shofar in the wilderness saying, wake up, America, make the way of the Lord straight because his coming is near.